A lot of people out there around the country, they don't know a lot about Idaho. They hear the name and they have a difficult time even trying to pinpoint where it is. The folks who went to government schools, they'll confuse it with Iowa. And I had an old friend we used to work with, and I remember when I came here, she asked me how I was liking the Midwest. So, they don't really conceptualize where it is on the map, but they get it confused with other things like that. Then every once in a while, someone comes along and they make some national news, and then people say, "Oh, Idaho, okay, okay, potatoes, yeah," and then that. Well, who is that? Well, in this case, it happens to be. We talked about this briefly on the program yesterday when Steve Millington was in the studio with us. Steve is the chairman of the Twin Falls County Republican Party. His counterpart in the Democrats at the state level is a woman named Sally Boynton Brown. Now, Sally Boynton Brown is an Idaho native. I don't know, Sun Valley or Boise or somewhere like that. She's a flaming liberal is the best way to put that. What would you expect? And she's also really representing the minority view in this state any longer. Sally Boynton Brown would like to be the next chairwoman of the Democrat National Committee in Washington. She'd like to run the national party. A couple of weeks ago, I was reading some comments she made, and it wasn't anything in depth. She wasn't explaining anything in depth, and she said, "Well, I think we need to take the party in a new direction as a candidate for the national chairwoman or chairman, because sometimes men compete for that too. But she would like to take the party in a new direction." And I thought, I wonder if she's going to try to turn the clock back, because there was a time when Democrats in this country weren't all interested in dividing people up by gender and race or whatnot. And it was mainly about just ensuring that working families, had something to do with their lives. In other words, they could make a living and actually put a little money away and, try to live in a sense that wasn't just paycheck to paycheck. Well, I should have asked more questions 2 weeks ago at the time. I mean, not that I had a chance. Democrats don't come on this program. But what she meant when she said a new direction was to make it the party apparently even more radical than it currently is. And we shared this with you yesterday if you're one of those regulars. But in case you didn't hear it, this is Sally Boynton Brown speaking, giving her campaign pitch to her fellow Democrats to become their national leader. And this is just it's a little bit more than a minute long, and it's part of a 3-minute speech she was giving to the assembled liberals.
I'm a white woman. I don't get it. I am pleased and honored to be here today to have the conversation. I am so excited that we're here, and I am listening because that's my job. My job is to listen to the issues. My job is to listen and be a voice. And my job is to shut other white people down when they want to interrupt. My job is to shut other white people down when they want to say, "Oh no, I'm not prejudiced. I'm a Democrat. I'm accepting." My job is to make sure that they get that they have privilege. And until we shut our mouths and we listen to those people who don't, and we lift our people up so that we all have equity in this country, so that we're all fighting alongside each other, so that we are all on the same page, and we clearly get where we're going, we're not going to break through this. This is not just rhetoric. This is life or death.
Sweetie Pie, if you're that ashamed of being a white person, then why are you campaigning for this position in the first place? Because Keith Ellison, the black Muslim from Minnesota, wants the job. So therefore, step aside and let the black man take over the party. If you're that worried that being whitey is a pockmark against you, I almost said black mark. We can't do that. But as a pockmark against you, then what are you doing on the stage in the first place? Well, she doesn't have a lot of time in front of, I think, big crowds because often she's vacationing. She's often vacationing. Sally Boynton Brown, what she does in her spare time is usually does ecotourism. That is, ensuring that the world stays safe while she's on her vacations. Came across this old video, and I think she's actually in this.
Deep in the woods of North Carolina, an extremist eco group called Earth First bewails the violation of American nature.
I want to mourn think we are deeply hurting in America. I think we are deeply craving answers. I think that we've lost our identity as we have evolved into technology and into industrialized society. Bring me to this cathedral. Bring me to those guys. Bring me to this rock that has the most incredible life. That makes me feel alive.
I've looked at clear cuts and burnt forest, and I've felt outraged, but I didn't scream and I didn't cry. And I need to.
Now, that is not Sally Boynton Brown, but, those people who are bat manure crazy, tell me, do you think she might be related to them? And this is the thing. I was getting all of these email messages from friends and messages on Facebook from all over the country yesterday because she made national headlines. And I mean, that video of her talking was everywhere. I mean, it was simply everywhere. And people were writing me in there saying, is everybody in Idaho this loopy? And see, that's the thing. It hasn't. Everybody thinks that you're all bat manure crazy here now because of what this Sally Boynton Brown has said. Because apparently somebody 300 years ago that may have looked like her was mean to somebody else who looked a little differently 300 years ago. We have a caller with us. You're listening to Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. That's 814. No wonder nobody takes liberals seriously. It's a 19 right now, and we've got a caller. You're on the air on KLIX. Go ahead.
Well, that sounded painful. This Sally Point Brown woman, listening to her talk is just as painful because it's like, okay, yeah, well, why don't you do the Rachel Dolezal thing, paint yourself black, and maybe you'll feel better. The thing is this woman, she's a self-loathing lib, and if she's not feeling bad about something, then something's wrong. But the thing of it is what's bothersome is the militant stance they're starting to take, because I was noticing on Facebook some of the libs were going crazy about the Keystone Pipeline, and they're saying, oh, maybe we ought to threaten to blow it up. I'm like, okay, Van Jones.
Well, you know what? Prison cooks work very hard. We'll just give them some more people to serve. That's all.
Yep, that's true.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks, Bill.
All right. Thank you much for the call. I've been reading some of the comments that people are posting along, and you just have to ask yourself, is anybody on the left in any way? Well, I mean, we thought for years that they were absolutely insane. The thing is that if you're a Democrat and you're trying to win votes in Idaho, your leader, your statewide leader, just threw gasoline all over your attempts. Because if you go up to Boundary County, or you even go up to, Elmore County, or you go out to Bonner County, you go to all of here in Twin Falls County and Jerome County, and you try to go out and tell people, we Democrats, we're sane people, and we'll put you back on the right path. And everybody thinks about what this Boynton Brown said then, and it's like, excuse me, but you guys have a loon in charge, and you're telling me that you think you're going to improve my life and better it? Boynton Brown wasn't finished, by the way. This was just the tail end of her remarks. All right, that's the other video. That's it. Hey, I've got to mention quickly. Got a guest coming up at 8:30 this morning. That's going to be Russell Singleton, a physician assistant from Trip Family Medicine, and he's going to be talking with us this morning about, I think it's called, it's a missionary-style healthcare, or people who actually take upon themselves for altruistic reasons to get involved in working in medicine. That's on the way in a few minutes. But in the meantime, these comments about the Keystone XL pipeline, there was a link today, and it comes from Oh, Say Anything blog, which is the leading conservative slash libertarian blog in North Dakota and has been rated one of the best political blogs in all of America, which is, I'll tell you what, coming out of North Dakota, the media there, that's one of the best talk radio places in the world, despite, a lot of small market radio. But some of the best talk show hosts in the country have come out of North Dakota. Scott Heenan, for instance, who's a regular backup for Sean Hannity. And you've got people there who are really, maybe it's the cold weather. They've got nothing else to do but think a lot. And there is a guy who ran and lost last year. He's actually a Sioux Indian. He lost a race for Congress last year, but he was a Democrat, and yet he was running as being a sane Democrat. That is, he wasn't one of these far left loopy liberals that you see so often in politics any longer, crying for dead trees or being ashamed of their particular race. And he ended up, after losing the race, he joined that Standing Rock demonstration. Well, the Sioux have been telling people, the leaders of the tribe, to go home. This guy is out there telling them to stay. And he was non-committal about the pipeline. And actually, I think he thought when he was running for office, it might be good for the state's economy and therefore would be good as well if you're a member of the Sioux tribe, because you can get some work if the economy improves. The people who live on reservations, work is sometimes scarce. Now he's threatening violence, telling these people to stay out there in the cold in these encampments, and he's threatening violence if it gets built. You want to talk about a politician? All of this stuff about the noble Indians in this country, well, some of them are politicians too, and this guy he's wetted an index finger, put it up in the air. It's very cold there. It's a cold wind, but he's seeing which way the wind is blowing and trying to convince these people that they should resort to violence when the pipeline project does go ahead, which everybody under the sun said that Keystone XL, and they're protesting a different pipeline, we should point out too, but everyone under the sun said that Keystone XL and the other pipeline, that these things weren't going to have any serious impact on the environment. And in fact, government did its best to try to route these things around the reservations. In other words, you got a great big dog leg in some of these pipelines for that very reason. And yet the liberals, elections don't mean anything to the left. The left would just as soon seize power, install some sort of Stalinist autocrat, and run the country from that perspective, because they know better than the rest of you, and you can't be trusted. 20 minutes after 8 o'clock, Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310. KLIX and newsradio1310.com. We're at a chilly 19 this morning. It's going to get colder, though, as the week goes on. I'm sure you're really going to be welcoming that.